So we wanted to come up with some good content for this webinar. We've done quite a few this year. I really enjoy doing the webinars. We've done a webinar on ADUs, purchasing homes, how to buy and sell. What are some other ones that we've done this year?
We've done construction.
Yes.
We've done refinance types of things.
Absolutely. If you have any questions on any of that stuff and would like any of that stuff, we can be able to get that out to you. But we put together some stuff. This one we wanted to go through and talk about why you should use UFirst Credit Union to buy your next home. I feel like we are an underutilized asset here at the credit union for our members to be able to take care of them. We have a wonderful team. I've been working at the credit union for 10 years. My name's Taylor Riley, and all 10 years working here, I've been a mortgage consultant. We've done a wonderful job of retooling, refining our processes so that we really run our mortgage department like any brokerage would. We can be able to close loans in a very short period of time if needed. We've got a great portfolio. Our management team has worked really hard to make sure that we have pretty much any product that you might need. And then if we don't have that product, we'll tell you, and we can be able to give you resources to be able to help you out. So we're going to go through why you should use us to buy your next home. As you can see on your screen right now, I'm over on the left. My name is Taylor Riley. I'm a mortgage consultant. I said I've been here for 10 years. You can be able to see my contact information over on the left-hand side. You can be able to send me an email. If you can reach out to me that way, I'll give you my cell phone number. I like to be able to stay in contact with my members as much as I can. I tell them I'm available till 11 p.m. 7 days a week. I don't just say that as a shtick. I actually am available that much. I've got my cell phone with me all the time. So if you contact me, there's a pretty good chance that I will pick up. I'm lucky to have Derek Power with me from Exit Realty. Derek, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm the blurry guy over there on your right. I need to send you an updated photo. I don't quite look that good anymore. If I look good there, I don't know.
We should have blurred my photo a little bit.
Maybe I look better.
Yeah. My
contact information is there as well. Recently, I was sitting down with some people, and they found out that I was a realtor, and this gentleman leaned forward and says, "So what do you specialize in? Do you specialize in like helping people sell homes, buy homes, commercial, residential?" I leaned forward, looked him in the eye, and I said, "I specialize in exceptional service."
Yes.
So I don't care what you need or want to do. My goal is to provide you with that level of service you deserve. And frankly, that's why I am so passionate about UFirst Federal Credit Union.
Yeah.
And why I sought you all out what feels like almost 10 years ago as well.
Yeah.
Is because you specialize in the same thing. So I'll leave it at that, but my information is there. If you have questions about the market, about houses, about really anything, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, I love doing these things with Derek. I had a situation happen with a client once where she gave me a call, and Derek wasn't helping me out on this one, but the client gave me a call and was like, "Taylor, I don't want to buy the home." And we were really late in the process, and I was like, "Well, what's going on?" And she's like, "I just don't feel like it's the right home for me. I don't know if it's juju or what." And I thought that was really, really interesting. I'm like, I don't know what this agent's going to do. And I called him, and he was just like, "I'll send the cancellation over. Like, we just need to make sure that we take care of her. We got her into another home. Her and her daughter are so happy and have been happy for a long time." When we started to work with Derek, Derek has that same mindset. It's really just about making sure that we're taking care of you every step of the way. If something's uncomfortable for us, that's part of the job. We do what we need to do to make sure that we take care of you. We want to make sure that everything that we're doing is in your best interest, and that's one of the reasons I love working with Derek, because he thinks the same way that I do, that we just want to make sure that we're there for you. So when we're looking at what we can be able to do to help you, I always think about this quote, because in our business, anytime that you get behind the 8 ball, I feel like it puts a tremendous amount of stress on everybody, and we can really be able to get out of that. So an idiot with a plan can be the genius without a plan, and I believe that. Of knowing your finances, knowing what we can be able to do. And a lot of things have changed in the market in the last 10 years with me working here. When I used to talk to people back in 2015, 16, 17, in that time frame, so if somebody called me and said, "Hey, Taylor, I want to buy a new home, and my home's paid off right now, or I have very little mortgage left on my home. I want to buy a new home, but I want to buy that home before I sell my old home." That was a very easy thing to do. Now with taxes, insurance being so expensive, the homes being so expensive, and rates being higher, it's become more difficult to be able to do that with people who are in a phenomenal financial situation. Down payment, when you think about how much you need to put down on a home that might be $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 at 5%, can be more. So it's really just about making sure that if you have plans in the future, that we really set everything up right now, and there's ways that we can be able to do that that's not going to cost you any money, just to make sure that we've got everything that we need. Successfully navigating buying a new home in this market comes down to staying in front of the curve, and I believe that. So we're going to talk about different steps that can be able to help you achieve that. Okay, so these are some mistakes. Derek, if I missed any, feel free to jump in here. But here are some of the mistakes that I find that where buyers fall behind the curve. So they start Googling information, which I'm not saying that you shouldn't Google information, but they're on Google 3, 4, 5 days in a row. They get overwhelmed and they end up quitting. I usually find this with younger people, not older people that have been through the process.
Yeah, it's a lot like people who, you know, I've got this weird looking blotch on my arm, and they start Googling all of the medical things about what that blotch might be, and they scare themselves to death. And I mean, the internet's a really great tool, and it's one that we use more than ever in real estate, but it can become an overwhelming tool. And sometimes the articles that you're reading, they're preying on you. Those articles are giving you information so that they can have you look at the banner ads that are on the side. And so be careful. Probably the best thing that I can always recommend is go to a professional that you trust. Talk to Taylor, give me a call, or give another realtor a call and talk to someone you trust.
Absolutely. The other thing that's hard with that is I find that misleading information makes the information that we give after harder to acknowledge. And that becomes a difficult thing. It's like, well, I've been running these calculators that comes up with this payment. And it's like, well, and you've been thinking, okay, if I could be able to buy a home, my payment was going to be X, and then I'm telling you the payment's Y and it's significantly more. That could be very difficult to be able to digest. So it's always good by getting information, but that we want to make ourselves available so we can have a call quickly, or as long as we should be able to have somebody. The perfect home comes on the market without being prepared. I know this is hard because you know, you're thinking, oh, I've always, this happened with my parents. There's this home in the neighborhood. They've always loved it. They drove by it one day and it's for sale. And they're just like, we want to buy this home. We've always thought about buying this home. And it was just a mad scramble from that point. So if that's a thing where you're thinking, oh, this home may not be the long-term solution for me, sit down with one of us so we can be able to talk about steps that you could be able to go through, once again, that don't cost you any money right now, so that you can be able to see what might be available for you in the future in the event that something does pop up. There's also other benefits that you could have with those things. So that's why it's nice to just be prepared in the event of something coming in the future. They think they can qualify for more because they're financially comfortable. So they may have rental income on a property. That's another big thing that I have. I own a rental property and my rent is $3,000 a month. Well, and that's fantastic, but if you're taking a bunch of deductions and write-offs on your taxes, you don't have $3,000 a month of income. That's what you're receiving, but you've taken deductions, and we can only go off of what we're showing as income. Bonus income, you know, you received a large bonus. That could be great for a down payment, but if that artificially inflated your income one year, you know, and then those might be a little bit difficult. You may have declining bonus income because the market's a little bit tougher, and all of a sudden we can't use any of that bonus income. Those are all things that we need to make sure that we're going through. I had one person, this was awful. We went through, we were doing a construction loan. We had lots of problems. We went through everything. And then at the very last minute, he had switched jobs from his job over to another job. And he was going to make a lot more money. But the problem was that 40% of his previous income was bonus income. And all of a sudden we couldn't use it and he couldn't qualify. And it was just like, man, that was something that he easily we could have done some things to be able to help with that situation because he didn't need to rush into that job. So those are some things that become difficult. They don't realize the cost of the new mortgage payment combined with their current debts. So that's where payments are more because homes are more, rates are up a little bit. So that's something we need to be able to calculate to make sure that we're not running into any issues with that.
Yeah, I sometimes see that also where they're saying, well, I can do this. The rents that I'm paying right now are equal to what this mortgage is going to be,
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily understand all of the requirements that need to be met when getting a mortgage. So speaking to a lender like yourself up front is just so important.
Yes. And I want to add to this. This is something that we can be able to do without pulling credit. A lot of times people
Right.
are like, I don't want to go through and do an application, all that. That's fine. We can be able to have a conversation 15, 20 minutes. You can be able to come in my office. We can be able to do this. We can do it through Zoom, over the phone. We can get the information that we need, and we can just run through a scenario. It doesn't take very long to be able to do that. I know I've done it at parties with people where they're just like, hey, you know how much I could be able to qualify for? No, but if you give me a napkin and a piece of or a pen, I'm more than happy to be able just to run through some stuff on my phone real quickly. And just a lot of guidelines are very black and white, and so that's where we can easily be able to go through and say, this is where you're at right now.
Right.
Somebody finds a home before financing is in place, just because we've had good preliminary conversations. So just because we've had conversations about this is how much my income has been over the last 2 years, I show on my paper that you can be able to qualify, but we haven't verified the bonus income. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? All of that stuff. So if you have had good preliminary conversations and you're thinking about purchasing a home, we need to make sure that we get you pre-qualified. A question I always ask people is, if you found the perfect home today, would you make an offer on it? And if the answer is yes, then I tell them you need to get pre-qualified, because you are in a headspace or a mind space where you could be able to want to buy a home.
Right.
And so if somebody's in that space, we need to make sure that we're taking the next step, which is the pre-qualification. The question I get, how much does it cost to do that? There's no cost to it. All it is that we do have to pull credit and fill out a mortgage application, which may take you 20, 25 minutes to be able to do at most. And then I can be able to do my side, which takes an hour to be able to get that done. So taking that 90 minutes to make sure that we have all the pieces in place so we can give you a pre-approval letter can really help. Derek, how does a pre-approval letter help you with your process?
It's so important, and I get it, right? You put your big toe in the water and you start that process with that initial conversation with Taylor, and now you're excited, and so you're online and you're looking at houses, and yes, the dream home, the perfect home comes along, and it almost always works that way, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you right now, regardless of the market, whether it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, or something in between, you want to make sure when you submit an offer on that home that you're submitting a strong offer.
Yep.
And a pre-approval letter from a lender is critical
Yep.
to that offer being strong. If I have a listing and I'm receiving an offer and it doesn't come with that pre-qualification letter, we're always advising the buyer's agent that we will, of course, present the offer to the seller,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to know that the buyer's been pre-approved, and
Yeah.
we need to have an opportunity to have a conversation with that lender to be assured that they can move forward.
Absolutely. Another thing, I see people get really, really excited. I love enthusiasm to be able to get everything done, but I find that sometimes when people are too excited, they're missing the finer details. So we want to make sure that, not to tamp down that excitement, but it's really just to make sure that we are harnessing it in a positive way and making sure that we're getting all of the things done that we need to. They don't realize the experience or knowledge that real estate or mortgage consultants have to help them. So a lot of times I'll have people come in, we'll have a quick conversation, and then they kind of disappear to do their own research with just a little bit of what we have. And I'm not sure if it's comfortability level or something like that, but it really, I don't mind having a 45-minute conversation with somebody to be able to go over everything. I love what I do. I love doing this. So if we can be able to talk through a lot of different scenarios, my favorite type of conversation is when somebody said, I just have one more question, or I'm like, I've said that.
Yeah.
And it's really because we're going through and we're going through all the different scenarios that are there. I talked to an individual yesterday who is thinking about buying a home for her daughter, and we talked for 45 minutes, and she had to go to a meeting, but all of a sudden, because we had talked about something a little bit different, I never even got to bring up a really, really good scenario that could be able to help. We ran out of time with it.
Yeah.
So I sent her an email about it because that was the plan afterwards. But it's that sort of thing. We have a different variable that's there. Let's hop on the phone real quickly and talk about that variable so we can make sure that we're getting good information to you.
And I'd love to add on to that. listen, buying a home, investing in a home, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, you're going to want to feel really good about the individuals that are helping you with that
Absolutely.
process. And I think that conversation goes a long way towards you getting a chance to get to know the Taylor or the Derek,
Mm-hmm.
and making that decision, is this the kind of person that I want on my team?
Yeah.
And identifying right up front, is that trust factor there? So, don't be shy about asking for that opportunity to sit down with somebody. I always offer it right up front.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that the person deserves. They deserve to be able to sit down with the professional and to really talk about their goals and their dreams.
Yep.
And if you get the impression from a professional that they don't want to do that, well, to me, that's an indicator that they're probably not the right person to help you with that investment.
Absolutely. I tell people, make sure that I throw this out in my appointment anytime that I'm having a conversation with somebody. You need to feel comfortable with your agent. You need to feel comfortable with your real estate, your mortgage professional. If you don't, you need to fire them and get somebody new. That includes me. If we're not jiving, if you are uncomfortable with something, this is too big of a process to be able to go through for you to feel uncomfortable with things. Ask questions, get answers. We want to make sure that you are there to be able to, or we're there to be able to help you with that. And that's where use your tools to make something beautiful. Buying a home can be a wonderful experience. It can also be an awful experience. Derek's been sitting here, we've been talking about things that we've had going on where people have had wonderful experiences and people have had terrible experiences. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that this is a wonderful experience for you. So that you can be able to focus on the things that really matter rather than the boneheaded stuff that we could easily be able to avoid by just getting in front of the curve.
Yeah.
All right. Mortgage consultant. What do we do? So you can be able to contact us here at the credit union to discuss your financing options. So we will ask you what your goals are. I always ask, what's your primary goal? Once you are telling me about that, what's your secondary goal? What's your tertiary goal? Most people want to know how much they qualify for. We need to know what your income is to be able to do that. If you just have regular W-2 income, I make $80,000 a year. My husband makes the same. That's easy for us to be able to calculate. If somebody says, I have 1099 income, I'm an independent contractor, that's going to take more documentation to be able to qualify. We want to make sure that we have a detailed conversation with you to be able to go through and make sure that we're giving you the information that's accurate. So we want to go through, see if you have equity in your current home. How could we be able to use that? Every situation is a little bit different, and all the assets that you have available and how we can be able to take care of that. Sometimes I'll have conversations with people and they'll be like, I need to talk to my money manager about this as well. Great. If that's a conversation that you're going to have, that lets me know there's assets available. Here are some questions. If I were you, I would ask them. One thing that I always like to ask people, I love to talk to professionals about everything, and I trust them when I go through and I talk to them. Are there any questions I should be asking you that I haven't? I feel like that's a wonderful question to be able to ask, because they can be able to sit there and be like, there are a couple of things that I have thought about while we've been talking about this, but I didn't want to get off track, or because we were talking about a different topic. These are things that we can be able to go through and make sure that we've got everything that we need. So we want to be a tool that's here for you. We have 4 mortgage consultants here at the credit union all over the state of Utah to be able to help you. As I said, I give individuals my cell phone number. I'm available until 11 o'clock at night. So if you want to have a conversation with us, we're here to be able to help you. Zoom is a wonderful aspect too. Some people will be like, do you meet on Saturdays? I don't meet with Saturdays right now. I know sometimes some mortgage consultants will. In certain situations, I could possibly be able to do that. So we just want to be able to go through. But the reason I bring that up is that sometimes they'll be like, I don't get off work until 5. Mm-hmm. Well, the branches close at 5, but they're open inside until 6. So we're here at the branch possibly to be able to set up an appointment for something like that. Let's do a Zoom call at 5:30. Yeah. I get home at 6 o'clock. I have no problem on a Thursday night popping on a Zoom call at 6 o'clock to be able to help you. So talk to us. We can be able to go through and figure out how we can be able to meet and get you taken care of. We want to be here to be able to get you get the information that you need so we can be able to put you in the best situation. Real quickly, got a couple questions. Let's get to those real quick. All right, so James, you want to read that for me? I have a hard time when I'm reading them and then answering them. It's easier for me just to hear them.
Jeff asked, as I'm shopping for a mortgage from various sources, if I find a more favorable rate from another source, are the credit union's rates and fees negotiable?
That's a great question. That actually will bring me to something a little bit different than that. Are the fees and rates negotiable? That's a difficult one to be able to answer. I would say that everything's negotiable, but sometimes people just have better fees and rates than us. And we'll be honest with you and tell you that. There are times where people call and they'll be like, I have this rate from a person. I'm like, do you have a loan estimate? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, lock that rate, move forward with it, because that's just not something that we're going to be able to compete with. So the answer to that is yes. The important thing though is that where you are in the process. If you have a conversation with somebody on the 2nd of September and they tell you this is what I can be able to do for you, and you don't call me until the 16th of September, a lot of things can change in 2 weeks.
Right.
And so that's why I always ask, because I know what's going on in the marketplace. When did you talk to this individual? The other thing is you can't lock a rate and or lock in the fee costs until you're under contract on a home. So if you are pre-approved with ABC Mortgage Company and they say they can be able to do this, I can be able to look at it and say, well, yeah, I could probably be able to do something that's really, really close to that, or I could be able to do that, or even better than that. But when you get a few weeks down the road and you get under contract, that's when you would really want to shop that and know exactly what they could be able to do. So it's good to shop once, but you also need to shop the second time as well if you're doing that, because those rates and fees may not be the same.
And another thing that I found is how that's often communicated between lenders is sometimes different. And you might be looking at those side by side and you might think you're comparing apples to apples, and you're not.
Yeah.
So I think once you're under contract, and I highly encourage this, don't be shy.
Yeah.
This is a legal right that you have as a consumer to shop around and make sure that you're getting the best product for you.
Yeah.
Call someone like Taylor. I can speak very highly of Taylor and the credit union in this regard, and that is they will be 100% honest with you whether something else is a better opportunity than what they can provide.
And there's things that are just not with the fees and rates that some people care about, the servicing aspect. So we service our loans long term. We make you make your payments with the credit union. I like that because I'm a busy guy. And so when I want to call my insurance agent to ask a question, I don't want to talk to 5 different people. I don't want to call a phone tree. I want to call my insurance agent and have a conversation with them. And so that's the same thing. If you got a problem with your mortgage long term or a question about something, it's tax time. How many different people are reaching out to me and saying, hey, do I have an escrow account? I can be able to look that up in 30 seconds, or just I know the person and I know what kind of product they have. So I can be like, I guarantee you have an escrow account. It's required for your sort of mortgage. So that's something where we could be able to get a quick answer for you. A lot of times, a lot of the texts that I get right now are just like, hey, I just want to make sure that my property taxes have been paid. Well, we haven't paid the property taxes yet. We usually send them out in the second week of November, so they will be taken care of. I know that you have an escrow account. That's just one less thing that's on their plate at that time. So the servicing aspect, asking them how they're doing. Also, how do they calculate their interest? Because you may be paying more towards the loan in the future. There's a lot of things to be able to consider rather than just rates and fees, in my opinion, when you're shopping around for a mortgage provider.
Jeff also asks, does the credit union offer mortgages regardless of the county in Utah which the home is located?
Yes, great question. We can lend in every county in the state of Utah. We cannot lend outside of the state of Utah. If you are looking to purchase a property outside of the state of Utah, I would still give us a call, because there are questions that we can be able to ask to be able to help you out. Case in point, I'm helping a couple right now that is buying a home in Colorado. We obviously can't lend in Colorado, but their home was paid off here. And the amount of money that they needed to borrow with how we were going to do their refinance cash out for a cash offer was a much better situation for them to be able to do that with that home in Colorado. So we can be able to have conversations with you and find out what product's going to be best. Sometimes really quickly in the conversation, somebody says, hey, I'm selling my home here, I'm moving to Ohio. There's really not a lot of stuff that we could be able to do. However, I do have friends that are in lending that are here in the state of Utah that can lend in all 50 states. And so if that's something where you'd like a referral, I'm more than happy to be able to help you with that. So you can call a trusted person to be able to get you taken care of.
Nice. I love it.
Okay. All right. Derek, I'm going to have you take over here a little bit, talking about the real estate agent and how they can be able to help you out.
I'm happy to. Okay. how do I search for homes? I love this question. And actually, I think that everybody knows the answer. You get online, right? Everybody's familiar with, and I'm not going to throw out the names, but there are some big name websites out there that you can go to search for homes. I will let you know right up front that these free websites where you go to search for homes, their objective is to get your information and to try and turn around and sell you as a lead. So be prepared if you go to these websites. If you put in a phone number and an email address, you're probably going to start getting calls from some agents. So that is an option. As a credit union, you've created another option for them, and that is they can, on your website, go to a little banner that says Find a Home. They can click on that, and they have a secure tool that they can use to look for homes in Utah, where they will not be getting calls from a bunch of different agents. They will get a call from me as I share that with you, but I will simply be calling to make sure that if you have any questions, that those questions are answered. I can promise that they will not be getting 10, 12, 15 calls a day from me. That's not going to happen. But that is a secure site that they can use. We have linked that tool to utahrealestate.com, which is the multiple listing service, the MLS for Utah. So you can see 100% of every home that is listed for sale.
James, can you go to the next slide? So we actually have a picture of the site that we put in there.
So that's the site that you can go to. It's a fantastic tool. You can save properties, you can email them out, you can set yourself up on an auto alert system where at whatever time frame you're interested in, either daily or weekly or monthly, it brings to your attention new listings. But it's a cool site. What is the best way to mentally get ready to search for homes? So I feel like we've kind of touched on that a little bit as we've been talking. But the one thing that I would recommend is don't be shy. Don't just stick your big toe in the water and try to determine if it's the right time for you to jump into the pool. Reach out to Taylor, reach out to me. We're so happy to just talk to you about your situation. Believe it or not, your goals are important to us. Your dreams are important to us. And I think the best way to mentally get ready is to start talking to some professionals and really find out what you can do.
Derek, add something. Sure. I've had a couple transactions lately that closed last month. It's ironic this always happens. All three of them closed last month. These are people that I've been talking to for 2 years, 3 years about things that they wanted to do. We've had countless conversations. And when you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 conversations, a ton of emails, a few different applications, and then all of a sudden they call you up and they say, hey, I'm ready to move forward. This is what we got going on. I love those transactions because we know how much time and effort that we put into this and that they're completely ready to go. And those seem to be the easiest types of transactions to be able to get done because we've done all the groundwork. So when they're just like, hey, we're ready to go, I can be like, boom, I've got your application. Let me go through. It looks like we're just missing, send me the updated pay stubs and we've got everything else that we need to be able to move forward. So that's one of those things that's really, really nice when we've laid all the groundwork just to be able to go through and get them taken care of. And was it a lot of time and effort when we were going through all of that stuff? Absolutely, but it made the process of actually finishing the transaction that much better for everybody.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I think sometimes people are like, well, I don't know if I'm ready and I'm a little bit hesitant. And you know what? Just call us. How many times have we helped people where that initial call came in, and I'm not even going to share names. I'm just going to say, I remember one couple, we were talking to them at the beginning of 2022, and they closed on their home in October of 2023. And a lot happened in that period of time. And I remember, do you remember them? In fact, and I don't want to share any names, but I remember when I first talked to them, they were newly married, and throughout that process, they became pregnant. And when they finally bought the house, they were holding the hand of a little girl when they walked through the front door. So a lot can happen in that time frame. But boy, what a great experience. So if you're even just thinking about it, I highly recommend giving us a call. Because you'll be further along than you think you are and closer to that end goal of a home.
Well, what was really cool about that experience, I remember when we had a conversation with them, is that they seemed really excited at first, and then for whatever reason, it fizzled really quickly. And then we had done everything. And then when they gave us a call and said, hey, we're ready to go again, that excitement was right there.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it is that there was a comfortability level with yourself, with me. They said, hey, what do we need to do to be able to do this? And boom, we were able to just get right back on the horse. We had known quite a bit of stuff, and so we were able to get it done. And once again, it was a really good, easy experience because we'd laid all that groundwork.
Yeah, absolutely. The next bullet point, what if I'm buying and selling? This isn't uncommon. In fact, we're seeing a lot of this right now, where individuals, for one reason or another, have outgrown, or just circumstances have changed, and the current home that they have is no longer right for them. There certainly is no cookie cutter approach to this, because everybody's circumstances are going to be different. But this is one of those situations where I would even like to sit down with them together, where both Taylor and I are in the room with you at the same time.
We've done that at all sorts of places. Remember when we did it early in the morning of that couple's house where we met there? Like we're happy to be able to do that anywhere to be able to get you taken care of. So that was a while ago, before COVID. So I feel like we'd have a different, that's kind of changed the mindset of people. But if somebody's like, hey, we want to meet in our morning, 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday at our home, we'd be more than happy to be able to do so.
Yeah. What is current value of your home? This is an area where I'm always happy to be of help. As a realtor, we have access to a lot of information through the multiple listing service, and we can help create for you what is called a comparative market analysis. You'll hear me reference just CMA quite a lot, but a CMA is similar to an appraisal. We use the same parameters that an appraiser uses to help you identify value of a home. Those would include, like properties, proximity to your property, when they sold, square footage. But we take this information and we find sold comparables that we can then help you to understand what your home would be worth in today's market. It provides a lot more information than that. I don't want to go too deep into that, but I will just say that if you are interested in knowing the value of your home, and it doesn't have to be because you're thinking of selling, there's lots of reasons why you might want to know what your home is worth. But that's a free service that I provide to any credit union member. Just call me. I'm happy to help you figure that out. And I'm getting calls all the time from Taylor and Heather and the other individuals who help people with mortgages at the credit union, asking for that same information. So certainly something that I'm happy to help with. Are there projects that need to be finished? Well, these next couple questions, they're more questions that somebody might have if they are thinking of selling. Let me tell you a little bit about my approach when I'm helping somebody list a home on the market. One of the things that I like to do is I like to hire an inspector to come through and do a pre-listing home inspection.
And that's not a normal thing.
No. Well, I mean, there are other agents that do that. What might be unusual is that I actually pay for that.
Well, okay. Yes. There we go.
So, but that is something that I like to do. I like to help you before you put your home on the market know what the actual condition of the home is. There might be things that we will want to have you address prior to listing your property, and we can discuss on the site with the inspector what those are, what it might cost, and why it would be beneficial to actually have that addressed up front. Are there cheap and effective ways to increase curb appeal? Another thing that I do with every home that I help somebody to list is I bring in an interior designer, and we do a pre-listing design consultation. And that individual comes in and looks at your home through the same eyes, frankly, that a buyer might look. And our goal is to have your home look like it was actually staged, and that's inside and out. And again, that's something that I pay for. And that would include the decluttering. But the idea here is we want your home to really stand out compared to the other homes that are on the market. And we also want, once you go under contract, we want that process to be really smooth. So we don't want you to quickly go under contract having not had a pre-listing inspection and then the buyers inspect it, and suddenly we find out that there are all these things wrong with it. Yeah. I just recently listed a home in the Daybreak area, and we did the pre-listing inspection, and we did the initial design consultation. The property went on the market. We had quite a bit of interest and ended up getting an offer, just days after it went on the market, and quickly went under contract. And along with the seller disclosures that we sent over and the CC&Rs and everything for the community, I sent over a copy of the pre-listing inspection. Well, the buyers elected not even to do an inspection on the home. They just called the inspector and went through it. And that what normally would be a 10 to 14 day due diligence period was 5 days. It went through so quickly, and obviously the seller was really happy with that. But if you have any questions about this sort of stuff, I just really encourage you to reach out. Happy to discuss your situation and what might be best for you. But just know that, again, my goal, our goal, is to help you to realize your goals.
Agreed. So when we send the email out, we're going to put the link to the joint website where people can be able to search for the home. So that'll be in the email that's going to be sent to people, so that that's something that you can be able to use. It's a wonderful tool. As Derek said, it's attached to the Utah Real Estate or all the MLS listings.
Yeah, UtahRealEstate.com is the official, MLS for the Wasatch Front region here.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, you'll have access to everything that you need. So there's a question. Jeff asked another question. He's had a mortgage in the past with the credit union, never sold it, or we never sold the mortgage. What are the chances that that'll continue, where we won't sell it to another party? It depends on the type of loan. So we'll talk about that up front with you. I'd say 95% of the loans that we do, maybe even 98% of the loans we do, we don't sell the loan. So the only loans that we have to sell right now are FHA loans, government loans that we do, and then also if they're a jumbo loan. And so that's a jumbo product would be a loan that starting in January 1st, 2025 is going to be over $803,000 as a loan amount, not a purchase price, but a loan amount. So we will talk to you about the different options and stuff like that. But most of the loans that we have, they're going to stay with the credit union, which I prefer. It's just one of those things that's really nice to be able to take care of people long term. So assembling your team, whether you're using Derek and another lender or using us and another real estate agent, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. One of the things that I love why I work so well with Derek is that we talk about, if you're going to make an offer on a home, I feel like your agent and your mortgage officer need to have a conversation and a plan of what's going to take place. The highest offer is not always the best offer. And I'll give you an example. My wife and I were looking for a home, and Derek was helping us with it. And we went on a Sunday to go look at the home. Derek showed up 15, 20 minutes early and talked to the agent. And while we're walking through the home, Derek walked downstairs with us, and he's like, hey, I got a nugget of information from the agent. The seller, he took a job at Boeing, and he is moving to Seattle. They want a fast closing. And I'm like, we can do that. That's easy to do, to be able to take care of everything. So when you go through it and you're looking at an offer, it's not just necessarily how much you're going to be making there, or what are the other things that you can be able to offer that don't cost any money. Sure. And that's something that was easy, because I'm thinking, well, we can easily be able to close this in 17 days to be able to do this. And that's, if we had all the groundwork laid out, which we did, that would have been something easy to be able to take care of. I had another situation recently where somebody needed a 90-day closing. I don't know if it was with you or not, but somebody needed a 90-day closing because they wanted to buy this home, but the sellers had an autistic child, an autistic adult child, and they didn't want to move them twice because it was already going to be difficult with the sensories to be able to move. And I was like, that's not a problem for us. And so we actually looked at our 90-day lock guidelines. And when we looked at what the 90-day lock was compared to the 60 and the 30, it wasn't that much more for them to be able to do that. And they decided to go with the 90-day lock. They felt comfortable with it. And so we had everything ready to go for them. And so we did everything that we needed to, because they still wanted to have the due diligence of financing and appraisal like a normal timeline, but they wanted to be able to close much later. Those are all things that we can be able to do to talk about how it's going to be helpful. Yeah. I like to have all my closings on Thursdays. It works well for our team, purchases. to be able to go through. That's something a lot of agents don't. It's not that they don't think about it. They're going through and looking at their time frame. They don't know what it's like for us on our side, and so that's where we just talk about that. If does it have to be a Thursday? No, but when you do a Friday closing, same day funding, those are things that create anxiety. That if you could just do your closing at 5 o'clock on Thursday, it's so much better.
Especially if they want to move in that weekend.
Absolutely.
I think when I look at this slide, I think a lot of people who are buying a home or selling a home, I don't think they realize how much is going on behind the scenes with the lender and with the realtor and with the title company, and hopefully they don't feel like they need to know all of it. Hopefully they've got a really strong team that is so on the ball and communicating well together and really taking care of all of that for them. Yeah. If you get done with the process and it didn't feel like a roller coaster ride, you picked a good team.
Yes, absolutely.
If you get done with the process and it felt like it was, or if the process doesn't get done, that's a shame. It's unfortunate though. It's sort of the tail wagging the dog, right? You don't know if you had a good team until the end, perhaps, but be assured, take the time to interview, take the time to talk, knowing that the lender and the realtor you're working with have already worked together in the past and have a proven success rate. I think that's really important as well.
I remember one transaction that Derek and I worked on where something happened and it was just a disaster. And I remember giving Derek a call and just being like, hey, we got a problem. But the thing that we knew is that we were going to be able to work together to be able to go through and know that we could be able to take care of that. And so there was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes that they weren't even aware of, even though it was kind of an up and down for them. But it was just one of those things where we could be able to, we knew what the plan was and we could be able to go through and assure everybody that this is what we could be able to do. It ended up working out really, really well.
That was probably one where you called me on a Sunday. It's nice to know that I can just say, guess what? I'll call Taylor right now. I don't need to wait till 8 a.m. on a Monday morning.
That is true. All right, now that we're ready to finance, now that you have a plan, let's get the financing in place, and that's really an application. That's all that it is. We can be able to do that in person, or we can be able to send it out to you. We have a really slick system where you just upload everything. We want to make sure your documents are secure, that you're just not emailing them to people. So there's lots of different ways that we can be able to do stuff. We want to get that pre-approval letter in your hand so that we can be able to be really aggressive with our offers. One thing that's been really beneficial lately is that I've been customizing pre-approval letters. So if somebody's going to make an offer on a home, how much are you thinking you're going to make an offer on that home? We're going to make an offer $699. What's the address? Let me just customize this. So Derek, as an agent, if you're receiving a customized pre-approval letter that's got the exact dollar amount, the address on it, how much better is that than just a generic one?
It's so much better. But on top of that, you forgot one of the big things that you always do, and that is you proactively call the listing agent as well.
Yeah, I do.
So when I get a letter like that, and I'm not even done reading it, and my phone rings, and it's the individual who just sent me the letter, that's so powerful. Because then when I sit down to go over the offer with the sellers, and I can say, this is buttoned down, I've got a letter, and I also had a conversation with the lender. That's powerful.
Yeah, I had this happen a couple weeks ago, and I remember it was during the BYU Arizona game. So the agent called me, the buyer's agent. She's like, hey, can you give the seller's agent a call and have a conversation with him? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, the absolute worst moment in the middle of a football game. And so I'm just like, you know what, not a problem. Pause. No issue. I love watching sports in 2024. And I called the listing agent, and we had probably a 30-minute conversation and talking about things. And I told her everything. You know, I knew that the person I was doing the loan for, that they had been pre-approved with another financial institution or with Rocket Mortgage, because they had uploaded some documents that said Rocket Mortgage. They hadn't told me that. I just put two and two together. And she's like, do you think she's going to do the loan with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that this is the plan that I presented to them that we can be able to do. And so we went through all that stuff, and she's like, I really hope that they had a couple offers. Like, I really, really hope that they take your offer, and I hope that they use you. And I'm like, I hope that as well. And the seller's agent called me on Monday, and when they had acceptance, she's like, have you talked to her? Are you going to be doing the loan? And I was just like, I think so, because we're moving forward with everything. And it's just been a wonderful process to be able to go through. We had a slight hiccup with something on the inspection. We had to push some stuff, and oh no, it wasn't the inspection. We were having a problem getting a document from the buyer's HR company. And so the seller's agent gave me a call, and she's like, hey, is this a problem? I'm like, no, it's not a problem. I told her everything about it, and she's like, we're going to sign the financing and appraisal extension, even though the settlement deadline, we're keeping that the same. She's like, I trust you on everything. You've been really transparent. It's just been a wonderful process where that little hiccup could have been a huge deal, where it was just very simple for everybody. So it's really nice to have everybody in place to be able to have those conversations to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're doing.
But having that upfront rapport with the listing agent, because you called at the very beginning, is what led to that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so once you have that pre-approved letter, time to start shopping. There's lots of tools we've gone over to be able to help with that sort of thing. So once you have that plan in place, and there's really, in my opinion, no angst with it, you can just emotionally be free to make the decisions that you want to make, to be able to go through. You can be able to know, if I'm going into this home, this is how much. That's one thing. I always like them to know how much their payment is before they go see a home. If I'm going into a 2 or 3 homes to see them, I know what the payments are before I go into the home, because it's hard for me to quantify, why is this home at $695 better than this home at $650? Well, if I can be able to go through and say, all right, this home is $240 more a month than this home. Do I see $240 a month in value for my family and myself in this home over this one? Those are all things that can be able to help with that. Any other questions that anybody has at this time?
I have a quick thought. I love that you started this out with a quote from Warren Buffett. And one of my favorite quotes of Warren Buffett's, well, there's lots, but one of them that has been on my mind lately is, he said, I get out when others are getting in and get in when others are getting out. And a lot of the questions that are being thrown at me right now are buyers who are really hyper focused on today's rate. And I get that. I understand that. And should I do something today or should I wait? I will tell you, 99% of the buyers out there, 100% of them are asking the same question. And the majority of them are planning on waiting. And what happens when you wait and when interest rates go down is all those buyers jump into the market at the same time. And we've seen this multiple times in the last year as rates have gone up and down. And when all of those buyers hit the market at the same time, that puts a lot of pressure on the small percentage of listings that are out there, and prices go up. So here's a thought. I don't think that you can ever lose when you buy a home. I think that you're always a winner. So bear with me as I share this, and tell me what you think when I'm done. First of all, if you buy a home today, and interest rates are a little bit higher, but interest rates go down, you can refinance. So you're a winner. And if you buy a home today and interest rates go up, well, you now have a lower interest rate and you're a winner. And in both scenarios, you did not have to compete with other buyers and the prices weren't bid up. So you're doubly a winner. And in scenario C, if you're renting and you buy a home today, you're no longer paying someone else's mortgage. So you're a winner. And you can take advantage of scenario A when interest rates go down. You're a double winner. And if interest rates go up, you're no longer paying somebody else's mortgage. You own your own home and you're a winner. And on top of that, you own a home. When we talk about the disparity between net worth of individuals who own homes versus individuals who rent, it's incredible. So owning a home is always a very, very positive.
I agree. One thing that I started doing, started asking questions. I like when members, because I'm at the branch, they'll come in and I'll see them and I'll pop my head out and be like, hey, I saw a gentleman today, came in and just, Chris, how you doing? And it's just nice to be able to talk to them. In that conversation, I always ask them, are you happy that you purchased your home? And there are quite a few people that stretch. So they'll be like, I wanted a payment at $2,800 a month, and they found the home and their payment ended up being $3,200 a month. I always, if I see them, will ask them, are you glad that you stretched that payment to get into this home? I've never had somebody say no. I've never had somebody be like, man, that extra $400 really crushed me. Now that's not, I'm not advocating for people to bust their budget, but it's one of those things that when you ask these individuals, do you think this was a good transaction and everything? I can only think of one time where somebody really expressed to me how difficult the home buying process, owning the home has been over the thousands of people that I've been able to help. So,
You know, and on top of that, what I'm trying to do is just help people to stop focusing on a rate and start focusing on the home. Think about your parents, the 1980s.
yeah,
Interest rates were double what they are right now.
yeah,
If you were to ask any of them, do you regret buying that house in
Yeah.
1986 when interest rates were 16%? What are they
Yeah.
going to tell you?
no,
No, because that home that I bought for 70,000 is now
Yeah.
worth 700,000, and
Yeah. Well, and it makes it difficult. It's one of those things where when we go through, I understand the difficulty that people have in today's market. I mean, at the branch, I'm working around most of the people, I call them the kids, but they're all 20 to 25-year-old individuals, and I listen to them and the difficulties that they have. And the margin for error is a lot smaller than it has been in the past. You really have to be proactive in making sure that you have everything set up. But that's where we can be able to have those conversations and be able to go through. If you can't buy a home today, even if you have to be on a 2-year plan to be able to do it, we can set up that plan. If you call me in 3 months and say, hey, my plan's changed, fantastic. You know, I've got stacks of legal notepads of people, so I can be able to easily find you. I have all my notes, and we just go through and say, okay, what has changed? What can we be able to do? We can go through all of those situations. A big thing that I've started to notice is that that I didn't have in the past. I have friends purchasing homes or 2 couples purchasing homes because homes are more expensive. Those are things that we can easily be able to do. It doesn't matter if one person's buying a home, 2 people, or 4 people. A lot of the loan products are exactly the same. Those are things where we want to have conversations with people so that we can be able to help them achieve
You just
their
need to
goals.
get them on the ladder. My first home, interest rates were high when I bought my first home. I was fortunate enough to find a realtor who said, why are we looking for a single family home? Let's get you a duplex. My first purchase was a duplex. I lived in one side and I rented out the other. That was the first rung of the ladder for me. And it was amazing. It propelled me further up the ladder. Otherwise, I would not have bought. Today, it might be a condo, and that might lead to a townhome, which ultimately leads to a single family home. I think the important thing is to not make the mistake that you need to wait until you can jump to the top of the ladder, but take the steps, get the plan in place so that you're on the ladder.
Yeah, one term that stopped being said, I don't know when, but you meet somebody or you'd go somebody and they'd be like, this is our starter home. People stop buying starter homes for some reason, but it's just that you know, that progression that I feel like is important for people to start. If you can only start at a condo, I think that's a great way to be able to go.
For sure.
We got another question with another predicted drop by the Federal Reserve. Any predictions on mortgage rates dropping within the next 6 months? I never predict, because everybody who's ever predicted, I feel like they're always wrong, especially over the last 5 years. Mortgage rates are not tied to the Fed rates. So we've actually knew the Fed was probably going to drop rates in September. Between June and September, rates were dropping. So rates dropped at the end of September on a Thursday. The next Tuesday, that's when the rates had been best. They've been going up since then. So the Fed dropped the rate and rates have been going up. So I don't really tie those two together. And it's something to be able to watch for. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? If you've got a 7% rate and you're looking to refinance, talk to your mortgage officer and say, hey, if you see this rate, this is what I would be interested in being able to take a look at. Those are all things that we can be able to help you when we're on those roads. So that's information we can be able to give. I don't predict on that sort of stuff just because I don't know. I hope that rates are where people need them to be so that they can be able to achieve their goals. I wish that we could be able to give 3% to everybody. That would be wonderful, but the market is what the market is at this time. We want to make sure that we're in position to be able to help you no matter what that market is.
Yeah, I do appreciate the question though. And, you know, it's interesting as I look back over the last couple of years, you know, interest rates have been fluctuating quite a bit. Today's interest rate is at a point where last October people would have jumped to get today's interest rate because it was 8.5% then.
Agreed.
And so I just really strongly encourage people, if you're asking these kind of questions, then it's the right time for you to talk to Taylor. Because he can help you to figure out what you can do today. And then based on what you can do, talk to a realtor and see what that might do for you. And because trying to time the market's really, really difficult.
It is. And I was thinking of something. I talked to a couple. They told me that they wanted to have a payment of not more than $3,000, and I knew that was a stretch for them because I could tell she was uncomfortable. Where the rates were at the time, I was just like, we're not at that. We're a few $100s more than that. And so they said that they wanted to wait. I knew where they lived, and I knew that there was a mortgage a billboard by them. And I said, okay, see what it is tonight and text me what it is. And they did that. And I'm like, to be able to get to where you want to be, that rate needs to go down 0.5%. And so she texted me when it finally went down to that. I said, let's look at that. We went through, we looked at the payment, and then rates have been going up since then. So obviously that changed, but it's the same thing. I told her when that rate gets to that on that billboard, let's get going to be able to get you taken care of. They're all pre-approved. They're ready to go. So we know that we're in position to be able to take care of them as soon as that rate drops. Or maybe something changes in their financial situation where they can call me up and they can say, hey, that $3,000 payment, $3,200 is not a problem now because I just got a raise with what I'm looking for. We just want to be in position to be able to help. James is going to send out an email to all of you, and it's going to have some information. Please give us a call if you have any questions. Send me an email if you just want to have a quick conversation that way where we can be able to get you taken care of. Derek's information is going to be in there. If you want to talk to him, give him a call. I know Derek's always available. We really appreciate you being here. If you need anything in the future, we look forward to talking to you. Have a great day.